All right, Gator Country. Man, what a weekend again. Just lighting the world on fire right now, shutting opponents down, playing some defense, six scoreless quarters. I can't overstate how proud I am of our Gators. It's just been a heck of a weekend of football. Good games on. But man, that was a good win. I don't care what anybody says. You had some people like, oh, who y'all beat? Man, top 15 Utah got the dub over them. Just beat a 6-3 South Carolina team. You know, Missouri, is giving people fits. I feel like that's an all right win. Sorry if I look a little crazy, guys. I just got out of the woods, been deer hunting today, so a little tired too. Got a little brain fog going on. When you're up at 4 o'clock in the dark, that'll get you. But man, yeah, good game, fun to watch. Finally, we get to just kick back and enjoy one. No stress. A little suspense there, real sloppy in the second half. But man, I'm just going to go through these notes and it's all going to be positive. There might be, maybe there's one or two negative things, but not much. Besides the turnovers, the sloppy play, the penalties on special teams were atrocious, but the game as a whole was really inspiring for the future. Gives me a lot of hope. I'm sure it gives a lot of y'all hope out there in Gator Country. I'm sure everybody's feeling really good right now about the direction of the program, the defense, the offense. I think the offense still has a ways to go in the passing game. We all know that. Again, I'm still going to beat the drum for a passing game coordinator, somebody to help improve this passing offense because it does need to get better. It has gotten better. We are completing, running better routes. We are running more complex routes, more complex personnel groupings and schemes, spreading it out. So those are all positives. You can tell we're going, you know, 12 personnel, 11 personnel, three wide, four wide. I saw five wide one time. So, guys are getting out there on the perimeter. Guys are blocking. This run game is incredible. But I'm just going to go through my notes. I do these during the game, so I basically have my thoughts on paper. The orbit sweep to start off with, I'm loving that new play that's thrown in there now. Finally getting the ball in Pearsall's hands. Man, he's been needing that ball in his hands all year and finally getting him more touches because here's why I think we've done that. I think we assumed we were going to get it to him in the passing game, but AR just hasn't been very capable there as well as we'd like him to be. So I think that's why we're feeding the ball. Napier is starting to evolve and start to play to his team's strengths. So he's putting the ball in Pearsall's hands on those running plays to get him more touches because he's a playmaker. That's a sign of good coaching, guys. That's a sign of a guy who's playing to win now towards the end of the season. And also playing to show progress and got to get some W's because man, the recruiting momentum with Rashada now. This class is going to be borderline top five when it's all said and done. There's no doubt in my mind somebody's going to be a 5-star in this class, or we're going to land at least one before this cycle's over. So borderline, elite bump class in my opinion coming up. It's not there yet, but it will be. Um, but that orbit sweep with Pearsall and the running game, he's elite, man. Top five in the country to me. Our rushing attack is, in my opinion, I think it's top five in the country. I don't think there's that many teams that can run the ball better than the Gators. Pearsall's an NFL talent, in my opinion. Reminds me of Julian Edelman. I'm sure everybody, he's a white guy, white receiver, but still, I do think he reminds me of Edelman. Kind of built the same, similar builds, similar playing style. Slow, rocky, a little rocky start there on the first drive, still move the ball with ease. AR's off target on his throw still. He started off that way and really never got consistent with throwing the ball throughout the game. He just looks different when healthy, and I think we all know that now. This kid was not healthy the entire season until these last two games. I think it's really been drilled in for him to buy in and be confident and show passion to inspire his teammates, and that's starting to show on the field. It's really rubbing off on everybody. You see him flexing, doing these different, taunts and stuff that he would do after a big play, but then he would just go right back into a shell. And now, he's, fist pumping, fired up, getting in guys' faces, harping on guys, holding guys accountable. And we haven't seen that all year. I'm starting to see a little Tebow leadership in AR honestly, and some of that fire like a Tebow for once. And that's what this offense, this team, that's what the Gators program has been missing, in my opinion. There's no alphas on this roster. Well, he's becoming one. Him and Ventrell Miller, I think this team could finish. It's pretty cool now to say that finally, I feel like my prediction at 8-4 is really, really possible. I still think Florida State is better than us. I still think they are a better team this year, which, look, you can't knock me for that. They're in year three. They should be. They've got a bunch of really good transfers. There's still some talent on that team, and their offense is in their third year. So if they beat us and it's a close game, I'm not even really going to be that upset about it because we're still going to be 7-5. And that's a good first year. That was the floor to me to improve one win over last year, get 8-5 in a bowl game, get 8 wins anyway. So yeah, I mean, I think there's so much potential that 8-4 would be an excellent first season, and the ceiling to me was 9-3. So, and we're very much, you know, realistically could be 9-3. That Kentucky game hurts more and more every day. There's no reason we should have lost that game. I think it is purely based on the fact new coach, new system, new offense, new defense, and that's what hurt us. I think if we play that game right now, we beat Kentucky 38-6 like we do South Carolina. We beat them like a drum. Douglas, man, Caleb Douglas, how about that boy? I mean, true freshman. That dude's the future wide receiver. He's one of the guys that's the future wide receiver, stepping up. A Billy guy again. Can't say enough about Billy's recruits, Billy's transfers. He's hit on all the transfers. I mean, he is an elite evaluator and an elite recruiter. So can you imagine a Mullen 4-star versus a Billy 4-star? You're talking about 4-stars that are going to produce on a solid basis. Instead of guys like Kamar Wilcox and or Derek Wingo, not like that. You know what I mean? These are going to be legit 4-stars. So really looking forward to that. Big running lanes in this game. I mean, incredible creases. I mean, it wasn't those running backs didn't even have to work for the yards in this game. They were just gaping holes. Low penalties again. This team is super disciplined. I mean, we had a few more than we probably should have. Got a little sloppy in the second half, but overall, still a very disciplined team. Keeping those penalties down. Wide receivers had a lot of drops in this game. I think AR's number should have been a little bit better. If I'm nitpicking, that's basically what I said. The drops were kind of a down. But those balls aren't accurate. He throws a really too fast. Those are too fast. Those are behind the receiver. So I can't really get on too much for that because it's a mix of both. But the missed passes, the drops, those hurt. I think he should have had 150, 175 yards passing, which is about his average. He's 199 for the year on average. So, 6'4", 240. He's laying his head down, giving the hit to these guys, taking the contact, just aggressive running the ball from AR, and that's something we haven't seen. He's been very tentative, sliding. I mean, he's just laying the boom down, Tebow style running guys over. I mean, play calling, the best scripted drive I've seen all year. That first drive of 2022, that was the best one in the South Carolina game. I thought it was creative. We scored, and we haven't been able to do that in most games, but that looked really good, and that was something that I was happy to see against a quality opponent, a 6-3 South Carolina team who's had some really solid wins this year. Defense comes out, they're penetrating the offensive line, playing with their hair on fire, discipline on the edge. Guys are keeping contained. We were getting pressure. The blitzes were getting home in this game. We're tackling better. I don't know how many times I saw Jaden Hill, Ventrell Miller making shoestring tackles on the perimeter and one-on-one tackle. I saw one play where Miller got his ankles broke. He had a perfect, had the guy right there one-on-one and couldn't make the tackle. But that's tough to do against an athlete that's superior to you in an open field like that. But, man, our guys were doing it all day. I mean, Trey Dean was, getting shoelaces and taking guys down. That's a big improvement, and that's a good sign going forward. That means these guys are really working on that, and the staff, all of the stuff that we struggled with, this staff is improving from that second half of that Texas A&M game. And, heck, I'd even say in the first half it wasn't all that bad. There were some bright spots. You could tell there was just something different. Defensive back coverage was pretty tight. I mean, they did hit some passes on us. Most of them were just to the outside because that's South Carolina's MO. I was surprised they hit that tight end over the middle, and I was like, oh, here we go. Whoever South Carolina's offensive line, I think his coordinator is Satterfield or something. He needs to go. I hope he stays for our sake. But man, if I was a South Carolina fan, the play calling for them was absolutely terrible. It looked like those passes that we throw that we all hate to Hendo at the sideline, we're still doing that. I don't like it. But it actually worked in this game a little bit. So, if we get better and better at it, it's not something I completely hate, but I'd like to see it go. But the coverage was pretty tight overall. I mean, Hill was making tackles, staying on his guy. Trevez had his best game of the year, in my opinion. He made some nice textbook tackles. Um, Douglas, just playing a really nice game today. Uh, RT, I don't know why I put RT. Find this. Oh, okay, I got you. Um, Douglas, the young wide receiver, basically finding the soft spot in the zone. He's just really good at that. He's very sudden, very quick. Wide receiver depth is improving, much better than we thought going into the season. I would say this is our most improved group on the team from the beginning of the season. We all knew the O line, running back was going to be a strength. I'm going to say receivers the most improved position group on this team this year. And the future is looking a lot better. I think some guys have really stepped up. Justin Shorter's out. And in all honesty, I thought these young guys, I thought we played better as a group without our best player than we did with him in the game. So, next thing here, Austin Barber, best offensive lineman to me, hands down. I think he's better than Tarquin. I'm glad we got Tarquin back next year, but I'm just really high on Barber. I think he's a road grader, puts a hat on a hat and just gets downhill. The guy's aggressive. I mean, he's pancaking dudes. So, yeah, I think that's the best offensive lineman we have, in my opinion. I think he's even better than, Guriage or any of the rest of them. First quarter, Pearsall gets that touchdown. Beautiful touchdown. AR rushing touchdown and a throwing touchdown in the first quarter. The trajectory on that ball he threw was absolutely gorgeous. The spin, you could see the velocity. He took some off of it and he just dropped it in there like an arcing shot, like a basketball player does. Just got that rainbow, just dropped it right in there. I mean, that's an NFL throw all day. He was making some of those throws look easy. Like just backyard pitch and catch, man. Just like, getting out there with your son, throwing in the backyard. I mean, he's just making it look like it's effortless. South Carolina's a good team. Daddy, I need your... Sorry, guys. Daddy duty calls there. Anyway, so, like I said, I feel like this was a good win. We just played improved complementary football on both sides of the ball. Time of possession was great. We gave our defense a blow when they needed it, so our defense stayed fresh the entire game. And I think if you can keep this defense off the field, give these guys a break since we're so thin at so many positions, like defensive line, this defense is going to be really successful throughout the rest of the year. Definitely don't see us losing to Vanderbilt, but that ain't no gimme game. You see what they did? They just upset Kentucky. They're not a terrible football team. I mean, they took South Carolina to the wire, put up some points on South Carolina's defense just like we did. Vanderbilt has no defense, guys. I would not fret Vanderbilt at all. We're playing in their little high school stadium. It's not going to be loud. There will be more Gator fans than Vanderbilt fans there. I've even thought about going myself. The Gators should roll that game and be 7-4 going into Florida State as a top 25 team. I don't think we'll be ranked this week, but next week I do. If we beat Vanderbilt 7-4, you're looking at a top 25 Gators team with 3 straight wins and a win over Utah, top 15 team. We're going to be back in that top 25. They're going to want that matchup against Florida State. Florida State's rolling right now, blowing everybody out. They're in the top 25. So you'll see us get back in there with this next win. Another note here, losing Cox, genius move by Billy Napier. What a difference the culture is on this team now. I mean, the buy-in is incredible. Better than any buy-in I've ever seen. Just the quotes that you hear before, after the games, the midweek interviews with players, you just didn't hear quotes like this with McElwain, Dan Mullen. You didn't hear guys talking about Coach like that. It's just a different level of love these guys have for Napier. You can see it. It's just on a whole nother level. The communication is so improved on this team. I saw guys talking. There's no confusion on the sideline, no confusion in the game. Guys are just, chirping it up, talking. The linebackers are communicating. The DBs are communicating. They've got all these signs. You can see them making the calls with their hands. That's something you weren't seeing before. You just saw a lot of confusion last year. Even during early in the season, you saw guys just weren't communicating. You see them on the field, on TV talking now. The young guys have got confidence. You can see them; they're communicating more. And I'm just proud of this team. Proud to see the improvement. That's coaching right there. Got to give Tony his credit. I'll eat my crow on Tony. But again, when it's bad, it's bad. I'm going to call it bad. When it's good, it's good. We're going to call it good. Um, I never call for Tony to be fired. You got to give Napier, 3 years, in my opinion, no matter what. Defensive coordinators always give 2, so I would say give Tony, at least next year and see what he does. Right now, he's already bought himself next year guaranteed. I mean, this defense is decent. They're getting better every week and have the opportunity to close the season out and move up into, a top 75, top 60 defense by the end of the year if they can get their stats up. But yeah, Tony has made massive steps forward, and I'm not going to say we have played some lesser opponents, not the greatest competition. So let's not get ahead of ourselves here. We don't know if it's the competition, but you can definitely tell we have gotten better in a lot of regards. And so is the offense. We're doing what we're good at, as Napier would say, which is big to me. Instead of trying to put a square peg in a round hole, he's not forcing anything. That's why you don't see AR throwing the ball, because he's not ready for the NFL. And I'm so sick of hearing the announcers talk about it. Yes, he's built like an NFL quarterback. He is not going to play it down in the NFL next year. If he goes pro, he will be making one of the biggest mistakes in his career, in my opinion. I think he will flush his career down the toilet. He needs to come back to Florida and play in this pro-style offense one more season and get his passing numbers up, because his turnovers this year mixed with his inconsistency throwing the ball, his completion percentage in this game was atrocious, guys. 50-something percent. I think he's averaging like 55% or less on his throws for the entire season, which is not, dude, no NFL scout is going to want that, okay? That doesn't look good. This is an easy offense. He should be hitting more throws than he has. He's missed way too many guys that were wide open. That's on him, not the receivers. So I think we get him back next year with the talent influx that's coming in at receiver with Eugene Wilson, Mazzell. AR really, I think we got ahead of ourselves. His Heisman season could legit be next year. We might not be a playoff contender, but this is a 9+ win team next year with the returners plus, transfer portal, elite high school class coming in with guys that are going to contribute right away. Especially on the defensive side of the ball, there's going to be some heavy rotation. And I think receiver, you're going to see a heavy true freshman rotation. The defense yesterday just knew the play before it was run. Defensive line was just getting pressure. That was just awesome to see, guys. Yuma Million, Rylan Powell, man, it was so nice to see them guys get in the backfield. They each got a sack. Those guys are playing with their hair on fire. I love to see it. That 80-yard touchdown run to ETN, man, that was good speed right there. That guy's an NFL back all day. He lost a little on the last 5 yards. The teammates were ragging him about that one. But heck, man, 80 yards. He's a little stocky dude. He's not a blazer, but, man, he's got good speed. Real elusive, just a huge hole there. Dare I say we have a 1,000-yard rusher this year, Montrell Johnson, 700-something yards rushing. You throw a bowl game in there, it's seriously possible. I think we have a 1,000-yard running back this year. Just beat the backer. The backer had him right there, and he just blows right by him, that arm tackle. This team should be 9-3, guys. The way we're running the ball, I don't know why it took so long for us to be so dominant in the way we're doing it now. But, man, I think it's just because we've committed to it, and Billy is playing to our strengths. Crowd was a huge factor in this game. Super loud. Billy gave the crowd credit. Man, playing in the Swamp's a different beast. Trey Dean even said that after the game. That's a top 5 stadium. One of the loudest places he ever played in his life, and it's just a special place. He said it's breathtaking. That was his words. South Carolina, Rattler as a quarterback, man, below average, just terrible. We want to talk about AR being inconsistent. Man, they thought they were going to get something. That dude was terrible at Oklahoma. He had some gaudy numbers that one year, but last year he was just atrocious. I don't know why they thought he was going to be the answer there at quarterback. He's been decent throughout the year. He's had his bright spots. But again, his bright spots were against terrible competition. The portal just can't always work. Jaheim Bell's a dude, but that's all they had last night. Just don't have the playmakers. that we have on our side of the ball. And again, we don't have elite playmakers just at running back and quarterback. We had some bad field position, still dominated. We did what US should do against South Carolina. This is how Florida should be beating teams like South Carolina, Kentucky, the lesser ones in the conference. Teams have just been beneath us in the past. This is where Florida has to get back to. We are a blue blood school. We should be dominating teams. When the big three in Florida are their best, which I would say the medium two right now, Florida State and Florida, because Miami's done. They're toast. I don't see that school will never be resurrected again from the grave. They are just atrocious. They just buried themselves with Cristobal, who's an under 500 coach who had great talent at Oregon, top 10 talent every year, and could not win anything. He just wasn't good. But yeah, Florida should be dominating teams and blowing teams out like South Carolina's and Vanderbilt's. Like we did against Eastern Washington. That should be the norm at Florida. Your competition should be LSU, Georgia, Tennessee. Those are the games that are going to be tight games. And then even when Florida's at its best, blowouts some years. The RPO, the zone read, AR is like, I'd give him an A+ 1000. He's crushing that. He watches that in crash, and he's gone off to the races. He's killing that play. That's one of the things I like that Napier's changed. They mentioned it after the game. The reporter even pointed out the RPOs and how well it's executed. And Napier basically said, hey, with AR at quarterback, when he pulls and he wasn't reading that right, guys. The Gator Nation podcast even pointed it out. He was pulling that ball at the wrong time or pitching it at the wrong time instead of keeping it. So he's finally actually reading and diagnosing the play effectively, and it's making this offense look just night and day better. Like I said, still up and down, passing the ball, no doubt. We're definitely a running team and leaning into it. Shamar James had himself a better game. I think he is improving, and he's sideline to sideline crazy fast. If he can keep getting better, that's an NFL talent at linebacker. He's the new age linebacker, hybrid type kid, but this kid could be special. I did notice him pop on the field yesterday. I thought he did play a good game. My mouth's getting dry. Hold on, guys. Anyway, I thought he had himself a game. So, South Carolina just had no downfield passing attack in this game. They didn't even try it. I mean, they barely tried to threaten us down the field, which was really surprising. Like I said, their play con left a lot to be desired for South Carolina fans. Outside quick game is what their offense has been predicated on all year. We shut their run game down. I mean, they couldn't. By the time they handed the ball, if we were in the backfield tackling the running back, it was just getting home. 3 down linemen with a stand-up outside backer. We didn't have any 4 down lineman sets that I saw, maybe a few, but not many, mostly just 3. We were getting there with 3 in a rush end every play. Barely even had to send pressure. Although when we did, it got home. Man, here's another thing that was this crazy. Joyner killed us last year. Third-string quarterback shredded Florida. Again, we were checked out. He gets on the field and big things happen. You get the fake punt. We're not ready for it. Who cares? We're blowing them out at that point anyways. I'm sure we probably should have been thinking it was going to happen, but I don't think it was a big deal that it did at that point in the game with the, just where we were at in the game with the score. But South Carolina, how do you not put this kid? He's electric with the ball in his hands, and yet he's on the sideline the whole game. Every time he touched it, he got a big play on us. But by the time they started giving the ball, a kid that single-handedly beat Florida last year, it was over. The game was over. It was out of reach. Beamer, to me, he's a good motivator. He's an inspirational coach. He's a goofball. He's more worried about wearing hater shades and doing TikToks than really being serious about football. And I think he just does that to try to fit in with the kids, which I'm sure the kids like that. That's cool, whatever. But as far as game day and building South Carolina into anything more than a 6-win, 7-win team, it's not going to happen. He's good at special teams. Hats off to you, bud. That's not going to get you anywhere. So that was just dumbfounding to me that they didn't use Joyner more. But, hey, it worked out for us, so I'm glad they didn't. I will say a tight end was more involved. I mean, I got to give so much credit to Billy Napier for this, guys. Y'all think about this. We lost our best tight end in Zipper, and we were all screaming at Napier for not using the tight end, not getting the ball to Zip, because when he did, the kid was good with the ball in his hands. He'd score. To to me, you're going to run an offense that involves the tight end, but don't get the ball to the tight end. If you want to talk about Napier's true offense, man, how about 3 targets? I think it was 4 targets, 3 catches to the tight end. Not a lot. I mean, again, not a lot of volume, but still, that's enough for a tight end. Again, if that's one player at tight end, that's a pretty decent volume for a game. Odom gets his first touchdown as a Gator. I mean, that was a hell of a play design from the H-back spot, comes across the formation, and I mean, he's wide open. I mean, just good execution, good play design. Again, I like it. Another recruit from the last year's class. I want to say Odom was a Mullen guy. I think he is. But again, he could be. Kid's got a future. I think he could be a good inline blocking tight end. You sneak him out for a nice little throw every now and then when somebody's least expecting it. So again, I just like the future of this team. I like the future personnel. Young guy getting involved. He hasn't seen the field all year and scores in his first full game getting playing reps. So I like the creativity with the tight end in this game. I really do. 5 tackles for loss, 2 sacks in the first half, guys. Again, good numbers. Getting pressure, goes back to that. Tony's improving, sky's the limit, recruiting, we're loading up on the defensive line. And the defensive line is playing well. And just think about the influx with Kelby Collins coming in next year. This team, I don't want to get ahead of myself, I'm getting excited. This team could be very good next year. Again, I just, there were some things I was so concerned about. All of that has been addressed with the offense to a certain degree, besides the passing game. Special teams still ticks me off. The 2 minutes before the first half, every time before the half, Billy sucks at that. He needs to find better analysts. Whatever data they're going off of, it's terrible. Why do you not take a shot at the end zone there and try to score? You got all this time left. And again, we just go to the locker room at halftime, just lackadaisical. Who cares about getting points? Dude, worst thing that's going to happen is they pick it off. The odds of them running that back are so low. Like, what? You can't just try to throw it at Hail Mary or at least try to get down call more aggressive play calling to the sideline. I mean, we had time, and he did nothing with it. He's done that all year, and he really needs to do some self-evaluating with that, because even as a fan, I think we all have gotten sick of it and kind of just said, okay, what is going on here? Like, I mean, he's got to be intelligent enough to know that the other team doesn't have a chance to score there unless something freak happens. And you see so many teams there try to score in all these other games on Saturdays, except for us. We're the only one that's like, oh, yeah, we'll just, we're down 4. We're happy. We'll go to halftime. That's not going to work if he keeps doing that in the future, especially with, trying to build this program up. We're not there where we need to be yet. We're not on equal footing with a lot of our competition like LSU and Georgia. You got to go for the juggler and go for the kill shot. You got to be aggressive. So I'm hoping that's something that changes, because that's always an opportunity before half with the ball. You got to get points. I mean, I don't know. That was one of my pet peeves for the season so far that I've really been frustrated with. But, we're an elite. One thing I will say that's elite about this defense, because nothing's elite right now, taking the ball away. I mean, we rip the ball out. We intercept the ball. We cause fumbles. I mean, we wreak havoc on defense as far as turnovers go. We're probably tops in the country, if not top 3 in the country in turnovers. Incredible. That's an identity that they've wanted to establish for this team, and they have done it. And turnovers, to me, are a fluky thing that fluctuate year to year. But this team is actually trying to get the ball turned over and being successful at it. And I think just about everybody's had a pick. Bernie's a turnover machine. How about the improvement for Bernie? I mean, Trey Dean's played his best 2 games of the year. Bernie has, Ventrell Miller, guys that were weaknesses throughout the entire year, some of our better players on defense right now, which is saying a lot, guys. The coverage has been tight. We've been glued to our guys. That's not something we could say before. Man, I'm just super happy to be able to say that to y'all, and I'm sure y'all are happy to watch it and see it yourselves. South Carolina did self-destruct in the second half. That triple turnover back and forth there at the end, it was just so sloppy. I mean, honestly thought, South Carolina had every opportunity to get back in this game, and they just could not do it. It's like they just wanted to hear, please, put us out of our misery type of thing. It was sad to see. They just were just terrible. AR broke so many ankles in this game. I know y'all saw a lot of that. He had a Lamar Jackson type of game. I mean, his running style, very similar, very sudden. I mean, he has that little stutter step he does, where he shakes his head and then implants that foot. I know y'all see what I'm talking about on that on the film. Just super sudden, just like some of our running backs, they've all got a nice little juke move in their arsenal. This offense yesterday is a mix of spread and pro offense. 11 personnel, 12 personnel. Like I said, you would see sometimes we'd have Napier's base with his, you know, two receiver sets and bunch set, tight end, which sucks. We're not successful every time we do that. Now, we have been very successful at the goal line with that. I did notice that on that tight end pass to Odom. But as a whole, the offense was very successful with 3, 4, and 5 wide. I mean, we were just shredding them. AR's more comfortable with it. He is a college, spread quarterback. And again, that's why I think he needs to come back for a second year. I'm hoping this is Napier 2.0 evolving. Um, this is a good sign, guys. It's a sign of a great elite coach, and people don't want to admit it, but these Sunbelt Billy people can shove it where the sun don't shine because a lot of people are coming to terms with we got our coach. We got the future for the Florida Gators, and Billy Napier is the guy. Um, as of right now, I mean, that could always change. We might lose two straight, but hopefully right now he has answered a lot of stuff for us. 6-4, we'll take it. The recruiting class will take it. The field goals were terrible, sloppy. Like I said, second half was just a crap show. Um, the defense did, struggle here and there. I did say early on they did have a lot of good tackles. There's still a couple guys that, mostly some of the younger guys I noticed were missing some tackles on the perimeter, but for the most part, tackling wasn't an issue. Dakota Mitchell and Jordan Young, played more snaps in this game. I saw 10 on the field, saw Young on the field a bunch. That was good to see. A lot of guys got a lot of experience in this game against a quality opponent. That's another massive positive, guys, to see all these young guys getting in the rotation in a game that you normally think they wouldn't. But they played well. Jordan Young made a nice play. Dakota Mitchell was all over the field. Every time I look at the screen, I saw number 10. Three players, running backs, I'm going to say three players over 100 yards. Hasn't happened since 1985. Was the last time that happened. AR basically had 100. He had a sack put in there. It's bull crap. They had three over 100, but it doesn't count. So two running backs over 100 yards. ETN, I don't know. He's probably at 600 something yards now. I know Johnson's at 700 something with 9 touchdowns. I really think that kid's going to break 1,000. And again, AR not ready for the NFL in my opinion, and just kind of sick of hearing about it because he's so pedestrian throwing the ball. He does make NFL type throws, but he's just not consistent at making the super easy throws. So, again, to me, it sounds like it's crossing his mind. Montrell Johnson mentioned paying the camera and said AR come back to Florida. And AR basically said, we'll see. I haven't really thought about that yet last night after the game, about it being his last home game in the Swamp, which I think is absolutely ludicrous. That he's even thinking that way. But anyway, guys, hope y'all had a good weekend. Sure did enjoy that dub. It feels good to be a Gator again this weekend. We'll see how we feel next weekend. But go Gators. I sure do appreciate y'all. Please like the channel. That really helps out. Again, I'm not a tech guy, not an expert on YouTube and this kind of stuff. But from everything, I watch a lot of YouTube videos just like y'all. And I know the thumbs up thing really does help. And subscribe to the channel if you want more content. I appreciate y'all listening. Y'all have a blessed week. Thank you.